Alright, I'm here with a new video, and today we're going to be putting down some Racedeck FreeFlow tile. You can see a sample right there. So, why am I doing this? I could argue that maybe it's functional because some of this concrete is pretty worn here, and when I run a creeper over it, it's a little bouncy and it gets kind of caught on some of these cracks. But I'd be lying if I said that, because it's fine. And not that the free flow is super smooth. Really, the reason why I'm doing it is because the floor is just so ugly. And I know it's a garage, but I spend time in here. It bugs me that it looks so bad. And the thing that pushed me over the edge is on Black Friday, they had a deal. Racedeck had a deal on these tiles. It was $1 off. So that's not terrible. I figure for a couple grand, I can get this floor to just look nice and presentable. When we go to sell the house, it's kind of a value add to me. You know, it'll present the garage much nicer. And just to give you an idea, I mean, look at all the stains that you see here. There's oil, there's different fluids that have marked and etched into the concrete. There's paint, there's rust. We even had, like, I had some mouse traps down, the sticky mouse trap, and some critter got in and it got stuck to its fur and it started flailing around, and even that stuff kind of stuck to some parts of the garage. I tried to get it out with carburetor cleaner, but I mean, it's just a mess. It's just a mess, you know? And I think putting the floor down is just gonna help a lot, and it's just gonna make me feel better when I come out here and do work. And it's also an opportunity to clean up and organize, because the garage really has gotten out of control lately. So that'll be good. As I empty and move things, I can kind of organize. So one other thing too is, if you've seen some of my other videos, you know I have a MaxJax lift, and I couldn't find any videos or information, even in the forums, that clearly said whether these arms clear the Racedeck tile. Because when you lower the lift all the way down, if I measure the lowest point, that's about a ½ inch. And the tile's a ½ inch. So is this going to rub? Is it going to interfere with the arms? Now, you can raise the arms a little bit before this lock kicks in, and then the arms don't move. So if you raise it too much, you can't move the arm. So there's a little bit of play, and I'm wondering, do I need to raise it that little bit to clear the tile? So for those of you that have a MaxJax, this might be helpful, because at least you'll know with my tile whether it's going to work or not. So we'll answer that as we get to it. So my thought is, you know, I'm just going to do the install. There's a million videos of installation. It seems very simple. I'm not going to video me installing it, but what I'll do is, when I get to points that might make sense to bring you guys in on, I'll just grab the camera and film it. I did buy a cutter, vinyl flooring cutter, because you can cut these tiles with a jigsaw. A lot of people do that. But when you cut it with a saw, number one, it makes a mess. Number two, the cut never looks clean. I've seen a lot of examples, and it's kind of rough, and you know, this is a nice clean edge. I want that, so when I go to cut with that cutter, I'll get a nice clean edge. And I mean, honestly, you know, you're gonna spend $2 grand on the floor, why wouldn't you buy a cutter for 140 bucks, you know? I guess, you know, if the cuts are hidden, no big deal, but I have a lot of little cuts I'm gonna have to make here, and it would be very visible. So that's my thought. So anyway, let me get going, and if I get to some part that's interesting, I'll let you know, and we'll turn the camera on. All right, so I said I didn't want to show the installation because there's just so many videos of that. It's really straightforward. But when I was considering this floor, I had a lot of questions, and it wasn't easy to find all of the answers in one place. I'm not going to be able to do that for you as well, but I do want to put some information that I couldn't find easily in this video. And then hopefully it helps if you're considering it. Now, these Racedeck tiles are 12 inch by 12 inch, but they get shipped in 24 by 24 in these boxes, okay? All right, so it's nice because you don't have to assemble 4 at a time. You know, you've got 4 at a time already done, so you can kind of lay them down, and it helps speed things along, I would imagine. I haven't started, as you can see, but it should be much easier. But when you go to cut, okay, this is the cutter I have. Most of these are 13-inch cutters, so you can put a 12-inch tile in here and you can cut. So when I go to cut one of these tiles, I'm gonna have to separate the tile from this snapped, the 4 pieces snapped together. So how do you do that? Okay, well, from the top, see if I can capture this by putting the camera down. From the top, you're just gonna bend it this way or this way. So that's it. You're not gonna bend it the other way. You're not gonna do it this way. So from the top, so I'm gonna put my knee here, I'm gonna go, okay? I'm gonna put my knee here. Now I've got a single tile, so I can make cuts. All right, that's one thing. The other thing is, before I can even start, my plan is to start in this corner. I've already got a cut that I need to make, which is this grounding rod. So when I go to put the tile in position, and I want to go up against the wall. Now I'm going to leave a little bit of clearance for expansion and contraction, so maybe 1/4 inch, 1/3 of an inch. But I need to clear that, okay? So I've drawn my little lines here for the cut. Now, how would I cut that? I can't put that in that cutter. That's not gonna work. I could use a saw. But like I said earlier, saws make a lot of mess and they don't make a clean cut. So I just wanted to show you that I have this tool, which I had used on another project. So this tool will cut through vinyl, PVC, stuff like that, as long as it's reasonable. I used it on rope, really thick, like nautical rope, and it cut like butter. And I just started to make a cut here, and it seems to go through this pretty nicely. So if you're gonna have a lot of little weird cuts like that, it might make sense to get this tool. All right, so again, we'll be back when I hit something that might make sense for you to, for me to share with you. Okay, just want to show you some quick progress. These tiles I cut with the cutter, worked out really well. Over here, I used this hand tool to notch out the grounding rod and make this little notch over here. Had to cut the trim. So, you know, that's clean. That tool's great. It probably makes a lot of sense if you're doing this type of stuff. And just so you see, there is a gap along the wall, but it does vary because this wall isn't straight. Behind this, this is particle board that I put up on over the foundation wall. So this is a concrete wall behind this. So I put this up so that I could hang things very easily, and you know, so the wall's not totally straight and square. Things get a little tighter at that end, but there's a lot of movement in these tiles, so even if your garage isn't square, you should be fine. And speaking of this, like, just to be clear, I know this is no show garage. You know, a lot of the flooring options you see online. They're in these crazy nice garages, and that's not this, okay, obviously. This is a good functional garage. I have nice lighting now. I have storage. The thing that lacked was the floor. It was just very ugly. So my intention is to spruce up a normal garage, a garage like many people have. So if you're thinking like, well, my garage isn't worthy of a floor, it doesn't make sense, well, just keep an open mind, because I'm liking the look already, and I think it's going to make a drastic difference. And the prices have come down quite a bit on these tiles. So anyway, like I said, keep an open mind. Let's see what it looks like as we go along. All right, so you can see I'm over here. I've got to make kind of an intricate cut, and I've got my markings here. So I want to cut along here and here, right? In that L shape. So I started with a cutter. The cutter goes in pretty good up to here, but then you can't keep sliding this thing up because the material's in the way. So then I'm like, okay, well, what do I do now? You know, it's like, do I take out the jigsaw? Because a jigsaw would do this, and no problem, but it would make a mess. It would have a rough, kind of crappy cut. So then I thought, well, why don't I just make two cuts with the lever cutter? Just cut this and cut this. And if I do that, actually, so cut this and then cut from here up. They should all snap in. There'll be an extra line, but there's already lines everywhere anyway. I don't think you'd even see it. So look, I'm not a floor guy. I'm just a DIY guy. So I'm gonna do path of least resistance. Two cuts, bam, bam, fit it in, and let's see what it looks like. All right, so I figured I'd kind of show you what's going on at this point. Couple things I need to point out, but for the most part, this is all just going down fine. No surprises. Straightforward installation. But if you notice, I do have these gaps here that I haven't filled in with tile. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to put contrasting color tile there. And that'll kind of be my guide for the lift. So if I come in with the car, I can kind of align with the contrasting color. So I ordered blue, and that hasn't come yet. But honestly, like, it's not going to matter for the cars that I frequently put on the lift, because I already know where I need to be. And I have like a laser light on the ceiling that shoots down. Like in this case, I don't know if you can see it. There's a red dot there. This car is filthy, by the way. It had a layer of dust on it, and I pulled it out, and of course it started to drizzle. But so that light really needs to be in front of the chrono clock. If I do that, this car is perfectly centered to lift. And, you know, the other cars, I know where I need to be. But if I bring in somebody's car that I'm not familiar with, I can use the contrasting colors to help. So figured now's the time I should do it. The other thing is, yeah, so these cuts like around the MaxJax, you know, it went pretty predictably. It's good. It's not like the perfect, you can see, like, because I did full cuts, you know, I've got pieces like this. Now that's not going anywhere because it's all snapped in, but you know, if you look closely, you're going to see this line, and it's not perfect, but it was much faster, and it didn't require any tool. Also, if you notice, I took the wheels off the MaxJax because the wheels extend down. You won't be able to get a 1/2-inch tile under the wheels. So that's just a matter of like 13 millimeter on both ends, and they come right off. So and I have not removed the MaxJax since I put it in. I have another video about it, and you know, I ran the lines so that it pretty much is going to be there. I can move it if I have to. It'll come down quick enough, but there's really no reason. If you notice where I'm parked now, this is what I typically do. I'll park and back of center, and that way the doors open fine. It's not as good as without the MaxJax, but I can get in and out with no problem. So that's what I do. I just leave it up. One other thing I was going to mention was, okay, this is probably not a tip, but I thought I'd mention it. So every now and then you get to a snap and you don't have a nice clean whack at it. I'm using a rubber mallet because something's interfering. This has happened a few times now. So, you know, I could try to get in with this and maybe hit something, but what I've been doing is just take a 3/8 extension, just put it on the snap and give it a little tap, and they snap right in. Okay, so I'm at the same point I just was. I just buttoned up kind of this halfway line. So kind of finish that, and I'm gonna put stuff away, and I'll finish the rest of the garage later. But I just wanted to take a video because just looking at it from here, and yeah, the garage is a mess, but like just looking over into this space, right? You know, that just looks like inviting and nice and, you know, like come on out and do some work in the garage. And then you get to this space and it's just like harsh and cold and gross, and it's just like not a space you want to be in. So I'm pretty impressed. Like, here's a good contrast right here. Drastic difference to me. So anyway, I figured I'd put it on video. All right, we're done the project. I just wanted to give you a shot from outside, but we're losing light out here. And if I shut the garage doors, we'll get more light from inside. So we'll do that in a second. But here it is from out here. All right, here it is. We're inside with the doors closed, so we've got more light going on here. And yeah, this is what it looks like. A drastic difference. The project was very straightforward, no surprises. I did have to make a lot of little cuts, like, you know, around things like these poles. Over here, got like PVC coming out over there. So I just used that hand cutter and just snipped away where I needed to take material out. Everything pretty much was tight and square until I started getting, because I started in this area and worked my way that way. The floor, up against the garage door is nice and tight, nice, exactly where I want it. Over here started out okay, and then as you go up the wall, you can see it starts to drift. And that's just, you know, that this slab isn't totally square. It's no big deal. But now this also happened here. Everything was nice and tight. Then when I get to here, and just so you know, this is the end of the 12-inch tile, okay? So I had the female loops there that I had to cut off to get that nice square edge. So it's not like I could have cut that. So that's 12-inch. Then we start to drift more and more away. Now I could have left the loops and then started another row, but then I'd have a staggered look there. So this is the worst of it here. And it's cold, so in the summer I expect that it's going to expand and not be quite such a big gap. But I can live with that. Everything else is nice. You can see I've got the contrasting color here for the tires when I pull in for the lift. And yeah, I use blue. Now that I'm looking at it, I kind of wish I used red because I do have some red in here. And I don't know, might have been better, but okay, I almost finished this video without pointing out something really important. This was a huge concern of mine when I was considering the tile, is how do things move on the tile? Like things with wheels, how do they move? Especially my creeper. That had to work. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even put the tile in. So looking on the web, I got a few answers to that question, but I didn't have a lot of confidence in them because there was no video or nobody actually showing movement on this. But and I guess I'm not going to show you movement of these toolboxes, but take my word, it's no problem at all. These things move without an issue. Now those are very big caster wheels. This jack's got small wheels, but it moves. You know, I just took my hand off it. So it moves very freely. Now, the Creeper has got even smaller wheels, but the beauty is it's got 6. So it kind of spreads the load over all 6 wheels. But this thing moves without an issue, okay? So you might see like a little chattering, but it doesn't hang up at all. These wheels do not hang up, and I'm going to sit in it. I can move around, I'd say, as well as when it was concrete. It might be a little bit more vibration, but it doesn't get hung up at all. It moves really freely. So I'm really happy to show that that isn't a concern. If you've got a Creeper and you're worried about it, you can see what I just did. Your Creeper might be different, so maybe the performance will be a little different, but this thing is great. Very happy. This is the worst thing I can find in the garage. It's got these little cheap wheels, and if I pull on it, and this is empty, so if I pull on it from up here, every now and then I could get it to hang up. There it is. See how it started to tip? If there was a gallon of oil in it, it wouldn't do that. And you can always just pull it from below. But yeah, all these other things, no problem at all. So that shouldn't be a concern. If you're worried about Creeper, you should be good to go. All right, so we wanted to talk about the MaxJax. That was kind of the whole reason for this, this video, because there are tons of videos about this floor. But I have not seen anything with the MaxJax. So here we go. We've got it installed. Do the arms move? Yep, they're not hitting. All right, you can hear, nice and free. So the arms are above the tile, but watch what happens. Watch, I'll focus on the arm. All right, you heard that, and you saw it, it went down because I did not have it all the way down. Now I do, and let's see what happens. You hear that? So it's actually dragging along the floor. Okay, so is that a problem? Well, you tell me. It's not ideal. My thought was, I'll just raise it up, right? Just raise it up a little bit. So let's do that. All right, so now I'm totally off the tile and the arms are free to move because I didn't go so high where the arms locked. Okay, so that's perfect. But it's one more step. It's something I never had to do, and now I'm going to be having to deal with that unless I get to the point where I don't care and I just let it drag on the floor. But I want to point out one other thing. Say I went a little too high, so let me do it again. Now that's still very low, but well, see, we locked. So if I go too high, the arms are going to lock, and now I'm going to have to come back down and then go back up. So there's going to be a little bit of thought involved with this versus before I have the floor put in. It's not bad. Like I said, I might get to the point where I just let it drag on the floor. But I did want to point out one thing, that if this had not worked and I couldn't find that sweet spot where it's off the tile and I couldn't get it to swivel freely. My thought was, you can see this lock, right? So my thought was, if I put like a washer or a piece of metal to raise this up, that would give me more of a range, so I could raise it up off the floor and not get the arms to lock. So if you find yourself in that circumstance where the tile's too thick and the arms lock once you get it off the floor and they lock, I would say just put something right under here so that when it goes to rest, it rests on the piece of metal, a little 1/8 inch, something like that, and that'll give you more play. So really, you have a lot of options, and like I said, it works fine if you find that little sweet spot. And I think the more I use it, the more I'll get used to just how high or low I need to be. But yeah, so it works with MaxJax. So hopefully this video helps you guys. I'm very happy with this. If you can tolerate the price, I think it's a really good option to spruce up the garage and just kind of make it a space that you feel like you want to spend more time in. So anyway, good luck.